It was a bright Saturday morning in New York City, and the streets of Brooklyn were busy with people. Among them was Michael Adams, a 27-year-old art student who loved old and forgotten things. He often visited small garage sales and thrift shops, hoping to find something special, something that told a story. That morning, he stopped by a small yard sale in front of an old wooden house. The place looked dusty and silent. An old man with gray hair sat behind a table full of random objects, books, broken clocks, and faded pictures. Michael's eyes moved over everything, but then something caught his attention. It was a painting, an old, dirty canvas leaning against a chair. The colors were faded, the frame was cracked, and there was dust all over it. The painting showed the portrait of a woman maybe in her mid-20s with deep blue eyes and a calm face. But there was something strange about those eyes. They didn't look still, they looked alive. It felt like she was watching him. Michael bent down and brushed away the dust. The woman in the painting wore a white dress, and behind her, there was a dark background, almost black. Something about her made Michael stop and stare for a long time. The old man noticed and smiled. "You like it, kid?" he asked. "No one's looked at that one in years." Michael asked, "Do you know who painted it?" The man shrugged. "No idea. Been sitting in my attic for decades. It's just old junk now. You can take it for $5 if you want." Michael smiled slightly. He didn't know why, but he felt a pull toward that painting, like it was calling him. He handed the man $5 and walked away with the painting under his arm. As he walked back to his small apartment, he kept looking at it. The woman's eyes seemed to follow him even through the street reflections. It made him a little uneasy, yet he couldn't look away. When he reached home, he placed the painting on his desk. He decided to clean and restore it, maybe use it for his art class project. He took a damp cloth and began to gently wipe off the dust and dirt. But as he cleaned, he noticed something strange. The frame felt heavier on one side. He turned the painting around and ran his fingers along the back. The wood was cracked, and in one corner, he felt a small bulge, like something was hidden inside. He frowned. "What is this?" he whispered. Curiosity grew stronger inside him. He took a small knife from his art toolbox and carefully lifted the cracked part of the wooden frame. Slowly, something thin and rolled up started to slide out, a piece of old paper, yellow with age. His heart started beating faster. He unfolded it slowly. It was a letter, written in fancy handwriting, with a red wax seal still half stuck to the paper. Michael leaned closer. The letter looked like it was more than 100 years old. The ink was faded but still readable. He read the first line. "My dearest Emily, if this letter ever finds you, know that my heart still beats for you across the war." Michael's eyes widened. The letter was dated June 14, 1864, during the American Civil War. He turned the letter around, and at the bottom was a signature, William Hartley. He didn't recognize the name, but the way it was written, the style of the paper, and the emotion in the words, it didn't feel like a random note. He whispered to himself, "Who were you, William? And who is Emily?" He looked back at the painting. The woman's soft eyes seemed sadder now, almost real. For a second, he could swear her lips had curved into the smallest, faintest smile. A sudden chill ran down his spine. The room felt colder. He quickly folded the letter back and placed it on the table. But something about the letter wouldn't leave his mind. He searched the name William Hartley on his phone, and to his surprise, there were some old history records mentioning a Union soldier by that name, a man who had gone missing in 1864 during a secret mission. And the strangest part? There was also a mention of a woman named Emily Rose, a painter from New York, who disappeared around the same year. Michael's eyes returned to the painting. "Emily Rose," he murmured. Could it be her? Could this painting be the lost portrait of Emily Rose, missing for more than 150 years? He didn't have answers, but deep inside, he felt like the painting wanted him to find out. That night, after dinner, he couldn't stop thinking about it. The letter, the name, the eyes, everything seemed to circle in his mind. Around midnight, he decided to look at the painting one last time before going to bed. The room was quiet, and only the dim street light from outside fell across the painting. Michael sat in his chair, staring at it. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then very softly the sound of paper rustling filled the air. He looked at the table, but the letter was still there. He turned toward the painting again. And in that moment, he thought he heard a whisper so faint it almost wasn't there. A woman's voice, gentle, sad, calling his name. Michael. His heart stopped. The room went cold. He stared at the painting and for the first time, he saw it clearly. A single tear seemed to roll down the woman's painted cheek. Michael stepped back, terrified. He blinked and the tear was gone. Just paint. Just shadows. Or was it? He didn't know. But one thing was certain: this painting was no ordinary painting. And whatever secret it was hiding was only just beginning to reveal itself. The next morning, Michael woke up still thinking about the painting. The letter, folded neatly, lay on his desk. He couldn't stop staring at it. Something about it was alive. Not alive in the literal sense, but it seemed to pull him in, asking him to discover its story. He poured himself a cup of coffee and sat at his desk. The words in the letter were strange, poetic, and emotional. My dearest Emily, if this letter ever finds you, know that my heart still beats for you across the war. I pray that one day, what we could not share in life, may rest beneath your eyes forever. Michael read it again. His fingers trembled slightly as he unfolded the letter fully. There, hidden inside the folds of the paper, was a small map, drawn in faded ink. The map showed a part of New York he didn't recognize, streets that seemed old, buildings that no longer existed. And in the corner of the map, a strange message was written. Follow the path. What is hidden will reveal the truth. Michael's heart pounded. He had always loved old mysteries, but this felt bigger. Much bigger. He searched online for Emily Rose and William Hartley together. The results shocked him. Emily Rose had been a painter in New York in the 1860s. She was talented, but her life was a mystery. Most historians believed she had disappeared without a trace. Some said she had died during childbirth, others claimed she left the city for a secret love. And William Hartley? Records confirmed he was a Union soldier. He had gone missing during the Civil War, and no one knew what had happened to him. Some documents hinted he had carried a personal mission, something important he couldn't tell anyone. Michael leaned back in his chair. The connection was impossible to ignore. The painting, the letter, the map, it all pointed to a secret love story lost in time. And he, somehow, was now part of it. Unable to resist, he called his friend Sarah, a history blogger who loved solving mysteries. Sarah had helped him research old artifacts before. Sarah, you need to see this, Michael said, holding up the painting and the letter. She arrived an hour later, eyes wide with excitement. She studied the painting first. Wow, this is incredible. Look at her eyes. She looks alive. Then she examined the letter and the map. Michael, this is not just a love letter, she said. This is a clue. Look at the map, it's pointing somewhere. Somewhere important. Michael frowned. Somewhere important, like what? Sarah tapped the map. See this part here? This old mansion. It belonged to Emily Rose. The records say she lived there before disappearing. Maybe, just maybe, the painting is part of something bigger hidden there. A shiver ran down Michael's spine. You mean, the painting isn't just a painting? It could be hiding something. Sarah nodded slowly. Exactly. And that something could explain her disappearance, or even reveal William's secret. They decided to follow the map. Late in the afternoon, they drove out of the city toward the countryside, where the map led them. The roads were quiet, lined with trees whose leaves whispered in the wind. The mansion, when they finally saw it, was old and abandoned, covered with ivy and shadows. Its windows were broken, and the gate hung on one hinge. Michael's stomach twisted. "This place, it feels alive," he whispered. Sarah nodded. "It does. Like it's waiting for us." They stepped inside carefully. The floorboards creaked, dust swirled in the weak sunlight that entered through the broken windows. Everywhere they looked, there were signs of an old life: a chair tipped over, old paintings leaning against the walls, and stacks of yellowed papers. Michael held the painting tightly. Somehow, he felt it guided him, pulling him forward through the mansion. They climbed the stairs and entered a large attic. Sunlight fell through a hole in the roof, illuminating dust motes that danced like tiny spirits in the air. Then, something strange happened. Michael froze. He felt a cold breeze on his neck, though all the windows were closed. And then, faintly, he heard it: a soft whisper. "Michael." He turned quickly, but no one was there. "Sarah, did you hear that?" he asked, voice trembling. "Yes," she whispered back. It sounded like a woman. They looked around nervously, their eyes landing on a corner of the attic where a shadow moved, even though there was no wind. The shadow stretched across the floor and walls, forming the outline of a woman, her figure familiar and haunting. Michael's breath caught. The shadow's face, it looked just like the woman in the painting. The voice came again, slightly louder, more urgent. "You found me, but you must finish what he started." The shadow pointed toward the floor. Michael and Sarah looked down and saw a slight crack in the old wooden floorboards. It was almost hidden, covered by layers of dust and debris. With careful hands, they moved the broken boards aside. Beneath it, there was a hard surface, something heavy and rectangular. Michael's heart raced. "Could it be another painting?" he whispered. Sarah shook her head. "Or something even more important." Michael reached toward the object, but as his fingers brushed it, the shadow of the woman flickered and disappeared, leaving a faint whisper echoing in the attic. "Don't stop now, uncover the truth." Michael pulled the object from beneath the floor. It was a small wooden box, worn with age, and locked tight. The box felt heavy in his hands, as if it held centuries of secrets. Sarah looked at him, her eyes wide. "Michael, whatever is inside that box, it's what William and Emily left behind. And it could change everything." Michael nodded slowly. His heart raced. He knew one thing for sure: this was no longer just a discovery. This was a journey into a love story that had been hidden for over 150 years. And the secret of Emily Rose and William Hartley was waiting to be revealed. Michael and Sarah stared at the old wooden box. Its surface was worn, and the lock was rusted. It felt heavy with history, almost as if it had been waiting for them for more than a century. "I wonder what's inside," Michael whispered, his hands trembling slightly. "Only one way to find out," Sarah replied. She held a small crowbar and carefully pried the lock open. With a creak, it gave way, revealing a box filled with old treasures. Inside, they found 3 items. A small diary, its leather cover cracked and fragile. A golden locket, tarnished but still shining faintly. Another painting, smaller than the one Michael had bought but unfinished. The face of a man appeared on it, his eyes kind yet sad, staring into the distance. Michael picked up the diary. He carefully opened it, revealing pages written in neat cursive. As he read aloud, Sarah leaned closer. "I have loved William Hartley since the moment I saw him. But fate has kept us apart. If he never returns, I pray someone finds this, and knows that our love was real. Emily rose. Michael's eyes widened. This was Emily's own writing, her voice speaking across centuries. Every word felt alive, full of emotion, regret, and hope. Then, his gaze fell on the unfinished painting. The man in it, it was William Hartley. And beside him, the space where a woman should have been left blank. Sarah whispered, he wanted to be with her, but she never finished it. This must be her last painting. Michael nodded slowly. We need to find out why she never finished it, and what she wanted us to do. Suddenly, the attic grew cold. A chill ran down their spines, and the light from the broken roof flickered strangely. The dust in the air seemed to move in swirling patterns. And then, they saw her. A shadowy figure of a woman appeared near the far corner. Her face was unmistakable, the same as the woman in the painting. Her eyes were sad but full of longing, and her body shimmered softly like mist. Michael stepped back. Sarah, do you see her? Sarah nodded, fear and awe in her eyes. Yes, it's her. Emily rose. The ghost moved closer. Her voice was soft but clear, echoing in the empty attic. Michael. Sarah, you found what was hidden. But it is not enough to see it. You must complete it. Finish what I could not. Michael swallowed hard. You mean, finish the painting? Emily's ghost nodded slowly. Her eyes glimmered with both sadness and hope. Yes. Only then can our story be complete. Only then can I rest. The room grew colder, and the shadows seemed to stretch. The unfinished painting seemed to glow faintly, as if waiting for him. Sarah whispered, Michael, look at the diary. Maybe there are clues in her words. She might have left instructions for us. Michael flipped through the fragile pages. The diary contained sketches, notes about colors, and even instructions for brush strokes. Emily had planned every detail, but she had never had the chance to finish the portrait of William beside her. As Michael studied the diary, he noticed something strange. A loose page fell from the back of the diary. It had a small drawing of a hidden door in the attic floor exactly where they had found the box. On the drawing was a note. He must not know, but someone will finish it. Only then will our love be free. The words sent chills down Michael's spine. Sarah, she wanted someone to complete the painting, to unite them again. Suddenly, the floor beneath them creaked violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The ghost of Emily stepped closer, and the attic seemed to breathe around them. Do not fear, she whispered. You have found what was lost. But the final step is yours. Michael looked at Sarah, his heart racing. Are you ready? He asked. She nodded, though her hands trembled. We have no choice. We have to finish it, for them. As Michael reached for the brushes and paints he had brought along, a strange feeling washed over him, a mix of fear, awe, and determination. He dipped the brush into the colors, following Emily's diary instructions. Every stroke he painted seemed to bring the man in the portrait to life. The more he worked, the more vivid William's eyes became. And then, when he hesitated, a soft whisper of encouragement echoed around him. Michael, don't stop now. Hours passed, though time seemed to stretch strangely in the attic. Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving the world in shadow. Inside, the ghost of Emily Rose floated near the painting, silently watching. Finally, Michael placed the last stroke, a delicate touch, adding Emily's presence beside William. The painting glowed faintly. For a moment, it felt alive. The eyes of both figures seemed to look directly at him and Sarah, full of gratitude and peace. The ghost of Emily smiled, a tear sliding down her cheek. Then, slowly, she began to fade, leaving behind only the glow of the completed painting. Her voice lingered, whispering softly. Thank you, you have set us free. Michael and Sarah sat in silence, staring at the masterpiece before them. The air felt lighter. The shadows no longer loomed. It was as if the love story had finally found closure, more than a century later. Michael whispered, "It's beautiful, she's free now." Sarah nodded, her eyes wide. "And we got to witness it, and finish it for her." But as they stared at the painting, Michael couldn't shake one thought. Those eyes, the ones of Emily and William, seemed almost alive, watching them. Watching the world. Something about their story wasn't entirely finished. And in the silence of the attic, the mystery felt far from over. The attic was quiet after Emily's ghost disappeared. Michael and Sarah sat for a moment, staring at the completed painting. The glow from the artwork made the room feel warm, almost alive. Yet, despite the beauty, a feeling lingered, a mystery left unsolved. Michael's eyes drifted back to the wooden floorboards where they had first discovered the box. Something about them tugged at his mind. "Sarah," he said slowly, "I feel like there's more here. Something Emily wanted us to find, beneath the floor." Sarah hesitated but then nodded. "Maybe you're right. If she guided us to the box, maybe she left something else for us too." They got up and began to inspect the floor more closely. Dust swirled around them as they pushed aside old furniture and debris. Michael noticed that one corner of the floor seemed slightly raised, almost as if it had been tampered with before. He pressed down on the wood. It was hollow underneath. Carefully, they lifted the boards. Beneath them lay a small, hidden cavity. Michael's heart pounded. "This could be it," he whispered. Inside the hidden space was a small wooden chest, ancient and locked, covered in carvings. It felt heavy, as if it had been buried there for decades. Sarah ran her fingers over the carvings. "Look at this, it's beautiful. Whoever made this wanted it to last forever." Michael found a rusty key inside the box they had opened earlier. Perhaps Emily had left it for them. He inserted it into the chest's lock. With a soft click, the lid opened. Inside, they found 3 extraordinary items. Another diary, older than the first, pages yellowed and fragile. A folded letter sealed with red wax, untouched by time. A small, wrapped bundle, surprisingly light. Michael carefully unwrapped the bundle. Inside was a tiny, exquisitely detailed sculpture, a man and a woman, arms around each other, carved from ivory. The faces matched the painting, William and Emily. It was a symbol of their love, frozen in time. Sarah gasped. "It's perfect. They wanted someone to find this, to remember them." Michael opened the second diary. The handwriting was Emily's, delicate yet precise. As he read aloud, the story became clear. "When William left for the war, I knew danger awaited him. I feared that our love would be lost forever. So I hid our story, the painting, the letters, and this sculpture. Whoever finds them must understand, our love was real. And they must finish what we started." The folded letter caught Michael's attention next. He carefully broke the wax seal and unfolded it. It read, "To the finder of this chest, know that love can survive even death. Protect our story. Share it wisely. Only then will we be free." Michael felt a lump in his throat. For more than 150 years, no one had known about Emily and William's love. And now, by chance or fate, he and Sarah had uncovered it. As they examined the chest, the attic temperature dropped suddenly. The shadows seemed to move again, and a soft whisper echoed. "You have found the rest, now make it whole." Michael and Sarah looked at each other, realizing what they had to do. The first painting had been completed, but this final discovery added the last piece of the puzzle. This is their legacy," Sarah said softly. "We have to take it to the museum. People need to see it, to know their story." Michael nodded. "But it feels like more than just history. It feels alive. almost like they're here with us. He held the ivory sculpture carefully. Its small figures seemed to glow faintly in the dim attic light. The love, the devotion, the heartbreak of two people separated by war, it was all captured in this tiny piece of art. They packed the chest carefully, making sure everything was safe. As they prepared to leave the mansion, Michael glanced back at the floorboards, the place where the secret had been hidden for so long. He felt a deep respect for Emily and William, who had trusted strangers to tell their story centuries later. But just as they were about to descend the stairs, a soft breeze blew through the attic. The shadows shifted one last time, and a faint voice whispered, "Thank you, for finishing our story. Now, the world will know love endures." Michael and Sarah stepped outside into the fading sunlight. The mansion stood silent behind them, as if holding its breath. "This was bigger than anything I imagined," Michael said. "We didn't just find art. We found history. And love." Sarah nodded. "And it's not over yet. The museum, the world, they need to see this. They need to know Emily and William's story." Michael looked at the painting again, now safe in his arms, and then at the chest with the diary, letters, and sculpture. He felt something he couldn't explain, a sense of peace, a feeling that the lovers were finally together, even across time. But deep down, he knew the world wasn't ready for the full truth yet. The story was powerful, emotional, and it would change history once it was shared. As they drove away, Michael glanced back at the mansion one last time. The shadows seemed to fade, leaving only sunlight glinting on the broken windows. He whispered to himself, "Some secrets are worth waiting centuries to be found." And with that, their journey was far from over. The final piece of the story, the world's recognition of a love hidden for more than a century, was still ahead. The city of New York was bustling, but for Michael and Sarah, the world had narrowed down to one thing: the story of Emily Rose and William Hartley. The paintings, the letters, the diary, and the small ivory sculpture, all of it told a story of love, loss, and hope that had survived more than 150 years. Michael carried the original painting, while Sarah held the box with the diary and sculpture. They entered a local art museum, where historians and curators examined the artifacts with awe. This is extraordinary," said one curator, an older man with glasses. "The painting, the letters, the sculpture, it's a complete story we've never known existed. Emily Rose and William Hartley. Their love, it's incredible." Michael felt a lump in his throat. He had expected the museum to value it for its historical importance, but he hadn't expected the emotional impact it would have on everyone who saw it. The museum arranged a special exhibition. Michael and Sarah watched as visitors marveled at the painting, reading the letters and diaries displayed nearby. Children stared wide-eyed, couples held hands, and historians took notes, fascinated by the hidden story behind the art. But for Michael, the most important moment came when he stood alone in front of the completed painting, the one he had finished in the attic. The glow from the figures of Emily and William seemed almost alive. Their eyes, painted with care and love, looked directly at him. A memory came back, Emily's whisper in the attic. "You have set us free." Michael realized then that he had not only uncovered history, but he had also fulfilled a promise. He had finished a story that had been frozen in time, giving Emily and William the closure they had never had. Sarah joined him quietly. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "And you know what? People are going to feel their love, feel it as if it's real." Michael nodded. "Yes. And that's what matters. Not the fame, not the money, their story. Their love." Days passed, and the exhibition gained attention. Articles were written about the lost love story of Emily Rose and William Hartley. Art collectors, historians, and lovers of history marveled at the discoveries. The story of a soldier and a painter, separated by war but reunited through art, captured the imagination of everyone who heard it. But Michael didn't care about the attention. He cared about one thing, the love he had helped preserve. He often returned to the museum, standing in front of the painting, feeling Emily and William's presence. One evening, as the museum emptied, Michael noticed something extraordinary. A soft glow surrounded the painting. For a moment, the figures of Emily and William seemed almost to move together, their hands brushing gently, their eyes filled with joy. Michael whispered, "You're finally together." And then, the glow faded, leaving only the painting. But Michael knew somehow, someway the lovers were finally at peace. He turned to Sarah, who smiled knowingly. "You think anyone else could feel it?" she asked. Michael shook his head. "Maybe, or maybe only those who truly believe in love can." The ivory sculpture, the diary, and the letters remained on display. People came from all over the country to see them. Scholars studied the diaries, while art enthusiasts admired the paintings. And every visitor, whether they knew the story or not, felt the depth of a love that had defied time itself. Months later, Michael returned to his small apartment. The $5 painting that had started everything now hung proudly on his wall, a symbol of discovery, history, and the power of love. He often thought of Emily's whisper, William's courage, and the mysteries of the past that had led him to this moment. One quiet night, he dreamed of the attic mansion. The shadows were gone, replaced by warm light. In his dream, Emily and William stood together, smiling, finally reunited. Michael felt a calmness he had never known before. He understood now, some stories are bigger than life, bigger than time itself. He smiled, whispering softly, "Thank you for letting me be part of your story." And in that moment, as if the universe itself had heard, Michael felt it, a gentle presence, a warm sigh of love, lingering in the air around him. The painting, the diaries, the sculpture, they were more than art. They were a testament to love that survived through centuries, a story that had changed history and the hearts of everyone who witnessed it. Michael knew this: some discoveries don't just reveal the past, they change the present. And some loves, no matter how lost, can never be forgotten. As the camera pans over the completed painting, the soft glow illuminates Emily and William's faces, their eyes alive with love, leaving viewers with a lasting impression. True love never dies, it waits to be found. The story had ended, but its impact would live forever.